hysterical comedies of biblical proportions.
You are now in the deep end of horror.
Mark of Horror, Hugsy, and hiding in the back is Viola. And we're here to tell you about the year 1984. The top 10 horror films for 1984, number 10, was the absolutely bat-crazy Ninja 3: The Domination. Apparently canon groups could no longer milk enough money from just ninjas, so they combined ninjas with Flashdance and Lucinda Dickey from their Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, and combined them all with a story about demonic spirits, demonic ninja spirits, or one in particular. This film is just absolutely nuts and is a wonderful time capsule for 1984. At no other time could this have been made. Enter Ninja 3: The Domination. Coming in at number 9 is the oh-so-stylish Body Double from favorite director Brian De Palma. Word is that he wanted adult actress Annette Haven to play the female lead in this. But Hollywood said, no, we just can't do that. So Annette Haven is actually a technical advisor on the film, and Melanie Griffith plays the adult actress part. Annette Haven does have a small uncredited role. Body Double. The 8th place is the only time I've ever seen a clip show make the list. In 1984 we had, and I'll explain this in a moment, Terror in the Aisles. You can buy Terror in the Aisles manufactured on demand, but why bother? Make sure you pick up the Universal version, not the Scream Factory version, or the Anchor Bay version of Halloween 2. Pick up the Universal version, and as a free feature on it, it features the movie Terror in the Aisles. Terror in the Aisles is an overview of horror and thriller films that goes a little bit off base, but it's pretty entertaining, and stars Donald Pleasance. He hosts, Donald Pleasance hosts the film. Anyway, pick up Halloween 2, and you'll get Terror in the Aisles for free. Number 7 is a personal favorite of mine. Night of the Comet. Not only is it an exceptionally fun undead movie, but it's an undead movie as female empowerment vehicle. The relationship between the two sisters is the heart, the core of the movie. Boyfriends and such like that are just completely incidental. It's the relationship of the two sisters decades before Frozen comes along. Night of the Comet, female empowerment, and just lots and lots of fun. And if I have to sell it to you more, Mary Warrenoff is also in it. Night of the Comet. Well, it wouldn't be an 80s horror list without The King. Coming in at number 6, Stephen King's Children of the Corn. This one is not one of the best of his. It's just kind of a mediocre horror film. But it stars Linda Hamilton, who is not in enough films. I don't know why, but she's only in a handful of films. Children of the Corn, and it would go on to spawn, I want to say 8 sequels, but I'm just guessing because I've lost count. A bunch of sequels and a remake, and I'm sure an upcoming reboot. Children of the Corn. Alright, the King gets a little greedy, and he takes the next spot as well, with Firestarter, with cute little Drew Barrymore, before she grew up and starred in Scream. Firestarter is a lot better than Children of the Corn. I don't know if I would call it classic, but it is very enjoyable. It's a really good Stephen King adaptation. It only spawned a single sequel, unlike the 8 or so sequels that Children of the Corn spawned. But it told a story that didn't really need to have a sequel. Firestarter.
If I understand what you just did, you just explained that Children of the Corn needed a sequel. Continue.
Well, since they didn't do it right the first time, they tried 8 more times. They still didn't get it right, but you know, that's just the way that goes. Firestarter. Watch this instead of Children of the Corn.
Charlie McGee is a healthy 8-year-old girl, normal in every way,
Charlie, now watch what you're doing.
but one.
Did she do that? What are you gonna do with her?
I'll bring her here, so you can do all your tests. And you give her to me.
Do something bad? Will you still love me?
She can set things on fire
Something's happening in there.
with just a glance. It is a power she does not want,
Stick with him.
Daddy, I'm scared.
So am I, honey.
a power she cannot control.
Back up.
Suppose we have a child here who has within her the power to crack the very planet in two like a china plate in a shooting gallery.
And each night, she prays to be just like every other child.
You haven't got her yet.
You'll have her.
Let's get him.
But there are those who will do everything in their power to find her,
They're coming. Think they're gonna kill you, Daddy?
to control her,
Show me a warrant and get the hell off my land.
We don't need a warrant.
and maybe destroy her.
Where's Charlie? What are you doing with her?
We're going to be close, she and I. Oh, yes.
Charlie?
We're going to be very close.
Charlie!
Come to me, Charlie.
Go! You're gonna have to burn it down, honey. Burn it all down.
Charlie McGee is Stephen King's Firestarter. Will she have the power to survive?
All right, 1984 starts off the first of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And it's directed by Wes Craven and is actually a really good horror film. It doesn't know where to end, so it has about 6 different endings, all of them in the film. But the film is pretty scary throughout the midsection, and of course features a young Johnny Depp as a very bloody victim. Spoiler alert, sorry. Nightmare on Elm Street.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them. Nightmare on Elm Street. No! No! She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails, no one will survive.
Help me, please!
Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street, rated R.
Well, what could make more money than the initial chapter in Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, it turns out that Jason can beat Freddy, at least temporarily. As we have Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Oh, don't you believe it, folks. It's just chapter 4, but they call it the final chapter. It's one of the only Friday the 13ths where a character that is not Jason is actually important in the film. Look for a young Corey Feldman doing a terrific job as Tommy Jarvis. And he would actually appear in 2 more of the movies. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Choo-choo-choo-choo.
3 times before, you have felt the terror, known the madness, lived the horror. But this is the one you've been screaming for. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason is back. He moves like a shadow, dark and silent.
Sorry you changed your mind?
He never utters a word. He doesn't even seem to breathe.
Where the hell's the corkscrew?
He simply, mindlessly, mercilessly kills. But now, Jason's reign of terror is over. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Friday, April 13th, is Jason's unlucky day.
Well, I don't know whether to thank or to blame Uber director Joe Dante for this next one. But coming in at number 2 for 1984 is Gremlins, which is a wonderfully funny film, a dark comedy, but it is definitely horror, and he follows it up with a really nice sequel that's kind of off the walls crazy, Gremlins 2, of course, but that's not this year. The reason I think to blame him, however, is because this would then spawn off a whole bunch of small creature horror movies. The Hobgoblins series, the Critters series, and so on and so forth. There's just a ton of them after Gremlins, because Gremlins did well, and some of them did well, and some of them are okay, but it's just so much overkill. But Gremlins itself is still wonderfully funny today. Watch Gremlins.
Steven Spielberg presents Gremlins. Billy Pelser has a nice home.
Billy, is that you?
Yeah, Mom, it's me.
A nice job. A nice girl.
If you're not doing anything this Thursday night, maybe you'd like to go out on a date with me?
I'd love to.
And loving parents who are about to give him
You're gonna like this. No, don't shake it. We're gonna have to open it now. It won't wait till Christmas.
the most unusual gift he ever got.
What is it?
No.
It's your new pet.
Come on, Barney, be a good dog. My dad gave it to me.
But there are a few things to keep in mind. If you expose it to the light, you may hurt it. If you get it wet, it will multiply.
All that from water? They got wet?
Yeah, plain water.
And most important, no matter how much they beg, never, never let them eat after midnight. Because when they do, they change. They become clever, mischievous,
What's going on here?
and dangerous.
Gremlins, huh? Little monsters.
Right.
Hundreds of them.
Well, I don't know, maybe thousands.
They've been here too. Billy, what are these things? Where did they come from?
Look, I know it sounds crazy, I know. But in a few hours, you're gonna have a major disaster on your hands.
Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante. They'll be expecting you.
And of course, appearing at number 1 from 1984, another franchise starter. Well, who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters! Starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Rick Moranis, Sigourney Weaver, Ernie Hudson, and more people. It's a classic. Many people deride the modern remake, the modern female-centric remake of Ghostbusters, but those people may not really remember Ghostbusters 2, which was pretty awful itself. The modern female Ghostbusters, I appreciate what they tried to do. It's true, it was not very good. There are parts of it that are fun, but Ghostbusters, the original, that's hysterical. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is what everybody remembers, but the whole movie all the way through is hysterical. Ghostbusters. See the original.
Even the ghostly oral sex scene.
Maybe not the ghostly oral sex scene. That may be a little uncomfortable. But most of the film is hysterical.
Okay.
See Ghostbusters, apparently skip the oral sex.
I mean, it's kind of rapey, is all I'm saying.
He had a smile on his face.
Oh my god.
Something extraordinary is coming to the neighborhood.
There's something you don't see every day.
Sony Pictures Home Entertainment presents an event that will spread the world.
Generally, you don't see that kind of behavior.
Digitally remastered, Ghostbusters is available for the first time in high definition on Blu-ray.
You can do more damage that way.
The Blu-ray is loaded with all new special features.
Yes, it's true.
Including Slimer Mode, a multi-channel picture-in-picture and graphic stream.
Gluttonous Slumsy.
And the behind-the-scenes featurette, Ecto 1 refurbishment.
I thought I'd see it shine up looking so good.
After 25 years, it is still one of the most hysterical comedies of biblical proportions.
Biblical.
What he means is fire and brimstone coming down from the sky. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
They're here to save the world again.
Nice shooting, kid.
But this time, it's even better in blue.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Ghostbusters, now on Blu-ray High Def.
Click like, subscribe, or even comment below because I want to hear what you think.